It's the first GeForce Now Thursday for the month of April, and we're going to be taking a look at all the new titles coming to the service this week. We have 7 in total, so let's kick things off by talking about game number 1, and that's Road 96 Mile Zero. You'll be able to pick this one up over on Steam, and it serves as a prequel to Road 96, a game that was heavily narrative focused where your choices mattered. The storyline this time revolves around 2 characters, their friendship, and the difference in their lifestyles. One comes from a more privileged background, the other not so privileged, and is dealing with the consequences of the political landscape. I will note that compared to the original, while this will still have you making select choices that will affect the outcome of the story, it definitely seems to be more centered in narrative. Some of the complaints I have seen about this title in particular ultimately lead to the game not having enough choices to make it replayable as much as the first one was. Regardless, it's clear that Mile Zero is trying something new, and I'm sure fans of the Road 96 universe will be very excited to see it once again. Moving on to the second title this week, we have Meet Your Maker, which is a new release you can pick up on Steam. This is a title brought to you by the same team that brought you Dead by Daylight, and I gotta say, it's just as fascinating and interesting as that title. It's described as a post-apocalyptic first-person building and raiding game where every level is designed by players. You can play this solo or co-op it with a friend as you take on these masterminded raids made by people who played the game themselves. Or maybe you yourself will take a shot at making a raid of your own and enjoy seeing people suffer as they try and get through it. Truth be told, a cool concept for a live service game and one that I think actually has a lot of potential to grow. Following that, we have TerraScape, another game you can pick up on Steam. From what I can see, this game seems to be a bit of a mix of a city builder and a card game. Pretty interesting mix to say the least. The idea is to let you build your own dream city, with each pack of cards in TerraScape offering different buildings and ways to expand that city. You succeed by placing your cards wisely in the game world to earn points and receive new cards as reward. Turn by turn, round by round, you'll skillfully build and grow your city. Currently, the game is in early access and does offer several game modes, procedural maps, and exciting challenges to face. And the game does have support for multiplayer as well. The next game, which you can also pick up on Steam, is called Curse of the Sea Rats, and it's described as a hand-animated Ratroidvania. The story takes place where your pirate crew is turned into a bunch of rats by a pirate witch. This will lead you to exploring a non-linear world, enjoying fun action platforming, facing challenging bosses, and unlocking unique abilities. The best feature of all in my opinion though has to be the fact that it supports 4-player local play, something that's all too rare to see in the Metroidvania genre. And moving on from one co-op game to another, we have Ravenswatch, a title you can buy on Steam. It takes place in a world full of fallen heroes and old folktales and legends. You're on the verge of a crucial battle against the nightmare invading and corrupting your world. The game itself is a roguelike action game from the creators of Curse of the Dead Gods and is playable solo or an online co-op. To keep it real with you all, this is the game I'm most excited for this week. It seems like great dungeon crawling action mixed with a bit of a roguelike like Hades. And the fact that it'll be playable with friends online really is a cherry on top for me. It is launching into early access, but I definitely will be keeping an eye out on this one because I think it has a lot of potential to being an indie hit for the year. Now let's move over to Supplice, which is another game you can pick up on Steam, and it's a stylish throwback shooter inspired by mid-90s FPS glory days from the legendary Doom modding community. The game aims to mix that retro styling of the 90s era shooters with colorful graphics and frantic gameplay. The developers are aiming to give you something that feels fresh while still retaining something that feels familiar. I gotta say, I think it's really cool to see these games inspired by the 90s Doom era. That game has a special place in gaming history for a reason, and I gotta say it holds up particularly well. Being able to see what that era of shooter would look like today with all the modern technology we have now is just really cool to see. Now the last title we're going to be taking a look at is Teardown, which you can also pick up on Steam. If you don't know about this game, well you should, and it's a fantastic addition to GeForce Now. The game allows you to prepare the perfect heist in the simulated and fully destructible voxel world. This means you'll be able to tear down walls with vehicles and explosives to create shortcuts, stack objects to reach up higher, and use the environment to your advantage in the most creative ways you can think of. The game's sitting at overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam with over 63,000 reviews for a good reason, and it's one that I'm sure could really use the power of the 4080 due to all the destruction that can happen. And with that, we've covered all 7 games coming to GeForce Now this week. Sadly, no Microsoft games this week, but as a reminder, they did say last week that they are working closely together to make it happen as soon as possible. Other than that, I just want to know what your favorite game this week is. What do you plan on playing? For me, it's going to be a mix of Ravenswatch as well as Teardown. I'm pretty excited to play both, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As always, thank you for watching. watching the video. This has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.